it's Chatty Abby and Jeremy, and we're here to talk about Iron Man
Armored Adventures.
Season 2.
Yeah.
We just finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to watch the finale twice because I fell asleep.
That does not bode well.
No, I mean, it was a pretty good finale. I just was really tired. But, yeah.
So what were your thoughts on Season 2? I feel like a lot of your thoughts for Season 2 affected your thoughts on Season 1. Because I think while we were watching Season 1, you mostly liked the show, but by the time we got halfway through Season 2, you were kind of fed up with all the things you complained about the last video.
Yeah, so I'll try to stay away from that. I don't want to complain about the same things twice. Let's see. In Season 2, I really liked the random classmate who popped out of nowhere, who was all of a sudden really angry with Tony. And it turns out she's a super genius who creates her own family by making robots.
Yep.
I thought she was pretty cool, and she turned the school into a house of horrors and was going to kill everybody and was really mad that he solved her puzzles and couldn't kill everybody. It was very Sherlock Holmes-esque. You had to suspend belief a little bit on some of the stuff that she did in the school, because you're like, she can just appear on screens in any room in the school and things like that. And I don't think that school was set up with that kind of tech.
Well, maybe she set it up.
Yeah, maybe. How does she finance these very lifelike, expensive-looking robots?
I mean, once she made her first robot, she can just use her robot people to do whatever she wants. I mean, who knows if she's got robot people who have jobs and just give her money.
That would work. And then she just goes to public school.
And I don't think
with her free time.
I don't think Tony's school is a public school, because it's called the Tomorrow Academy, so it seems like a very exclusive private school even.
Oh, well, that makes sense. All the kids there are really rich.
Yeah.
They don't really say if Happy's rich, but everybody else is really
well,
rich.
He's there on a basketball scholarship.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Anyway, so I really enjoyed that episode. The Mandarin started really getting on my nerves because he was in every episode, and he had Tony's dad, and he goes, "Stop talking! We're gonna find this! It's my destiny!" Like over and over and over again. So that got a little boring. I did like that they brought Tony's dad back. That was kind of cool.
Yep.
And then what happened?
So, a lot of the things you wanted to talk about in the last video were in Season 2. So Dr. Doom is in Season 2.
Dr. Doom works for me, I think. And he's just a really high-tech dictator. And why does he show up the first time?
So he shows up the first time because he wants Tony's arc reactor technology to help him recharge his suit.
Yeah. A lot of Tony's villains, he never seems to be able to actually defeat.
And Dr. Doom is actually a Fantastic Four villain.
Well, what's he doing in Iron Man?
Well, so just like they have heroes crossover, they also have villains crossover.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Dr. Doom is one of the smartest people in the world, and he also has a suit of armor, so it would make sense that he would cross paths with Iron Man.
Yeah, it does.
And actually, in the Fantastic Four show that I watched, he also crosses over to steal Iron Man's suit as well.
Okay. Is it okay if I switch subjects off of Dr. Doom? I really hated that Ghost got his armor technology, because that just seemed like a cat you couldn't put back in the bag. And you couldn't fix that. And now everybody's got Iron Man. I mean, it created some fun moments where you've got like, we're heroes now, and they're creating catastrophes to fix. Very much like Bumblebee. And then Iron Man just shows up and starts yelling at him, "Those are my suits!" And then he looks really bad for doing that. And I think it's funny that he was so surprised that he looked bad, but he just showed up and started fighting people that had just saved people and was like, "Give me back my suits." And he did look like a villain in that moment. So I like that moment, but also like now there's just like armored robots everywhere, droids and humans and armor everywhere. And in the movies that never happened. And I prefer that. I prefer when Iron Man has the technology. And if somebody else gets the technology, it's because they created themselves. Like the Whiplash guy gets some stuff, but he does it himself. And I thought it was also kind of annoying how easy it was to get the armor.
Mm.
Because Ghost just follows him home, puts a little thing on the computer, and bam, 2 seconds later, he's stolen everything. And it's like Tony doesn't have any security on his computer at all. Like, I mean, it's secret lab, but all you have to do is find the lab, and bam, you've just got all his information. And then they never do undo that. There's no solving that. Ghost sells it to all the bad guys, and now all the bad guys have giant armored robots. Yeah. You got Hammer's got some, and Stain has some, and it's just everywhere.
Yep.
So, and then Tony yells a lot about that because he's real mad about it. And he never really finds a way to get over it or solve that problem. So, anyway, wasn't thrilled with that. What did you think of the second season?
So when I originally watched it, I liked pretty much almost all the episodes, but watching it again, I definitely cut out a lot of the episodes after he had lost the armor. So I really liked the Armor Wars episode, which is the episode you talked about, where Stan got it and had all these heroes that he had created, and Iron Man is coming in to take him down. I really liked that episode. But like the whole Titanium Man plot line, I didn't really like Titanium Man. I basically...
Is Titanium Man Hammer's one? Okay.
Cut out all the Titanium Man ones. I cut out all the Ironmonger ones. But I really liked Dr. Doom. I liked the Living Laser and Ghost episodes. Like, even though Ghost in the Machine, which is the episode where Ghost gets all of Tony's tech, even though that happens, I still really like that. That's still one of my favorite episodes in the whole show.
Well, I really like the Ghost part of it. Yeah. I don't like the outcome and what happens with that. It would be really cool if Ghost did all of that and then Iron Man somehow was able to get the tech back somehow. Mm-hmm. But Ghost gets all that, sells it to both people, and then is like, haha, I'm going to retire now. And I'm not going to tell anybody your secret identity because I'm going to blackmail you with it later. I thought that was amazing. I loved that. I really liked that whole episode. And then I was like, oh, but then they really got the tech. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like that so much. I liked some of, like, I did like some of, which, like, Stain immediately puts, like, criminals into the suits.
Not a great plan.
And has them pose as heroes, and then doesn't even change their voice so they can just find out who they are. I thought that was funny, but anyway, yeah.
I mean, the main things I liked about season 2 were the same things I liked about season 1. I liked Black Panther, I liked Hulk, I liked Living Laser.
I did really like those episodes. I specifically liked Black Panther and Hulk in this. Mm-hmm. You don't like Captain Fury, but he's supposed to be bad, kind of. So. Yeah. I did like, what is it called, Extremis or something?
Oh yes, that I really liked Extremis. That was amazing.
They should have done that in the movies. Yeah. That would have been such a cool like upgrade he could have gotten. Mm-hmm. But they never did that in the movies, I don't think.
So they didn't do Extremis, but they did give him remote control armor.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing, but so basically Extremis was a serum that Tony gave himself in order to improve his brain in order to stop an extremist zombie.
He almost like made himself like a mutant.
Yeah.
And his mutant powers were the ability to control tech.
Yeah. Which
was pretty cool. I mean, he didn't use it the coolest ways. I feel like they could have made it cooler. It was a cool idea though.
So Extremis was actually in Iron Man 3, but it was just a bit different. So remember the like lava people from Iron Man 3?
No.
Do you remember the Mandarin from Iron Man 3?
Yeah, and he's fake.
Right. Mm-hmm. But remember the guy that set up the Mandarin?
Which, now that I've seen the whole Mandarin thing, the Mandarin being fake is just so dumb.
Yeah.
Why? Why is he just an actor? They kind of fixed that in Shang-Chi, kind of. But even that, I like the Mandarin in this one, the powers of this Mandarin better than the Shang-Chi Mandarin. Mm-hmm. Like the rings being those spiky things that actually go on your fingers, I feel like it's so much cooler than giant bands that go up your arm. Because they call them rings and then they put them like bracelets.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just make rings?
To be different.
Oh, okay.
Also, if Wenwu, who is the Mandarin character in Shang-Chi, had the powers of the actual Maklulan rings from the show, he would be too powerful for a movie like Shang-Chi.
Yeah. And then they're bringing in, well, they brought in dragons, and the dragons have the Maklulan power, which is kind of what happens in this season 2 too. I like the dragons in Shang-Chi, how they drew them, or well, it's a live action, how they look in that one a lot better than this one. Like this one, they're like, and then like they just like talk through that, and they did like a growly demon voice on top of it, and had 3 eyeballs, and they're like, look, it's a different race.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was like full on drag, like Shang-Chi was full on dragons.
Yeah.
The bad dragon, the good dragon. I don't know. That was a lot cooler. Yeah, he would have been too powerful if he'd had the, because it would have been a whole nother Thor all over again. A whole nother Thanos all over again.
Well, Wenwu was kind of like Thor, you know, he was an immortal guy who kind of conquered the world. That's very Asgardian-like. Yeah. Something Loki would do.
Yeah. Well, he never actually conquers the world, though, does he?
Well, he doesn't conquer the world, but they sort of allude to the fact that he was like Genghis Khan or something.
Yeah, he was just he just became like a mobster with all that power.
Well, right, but I'm saying Genghis Khan was a famous conqueror. Yeah. And so they're alluding to the fact that he was Genghis Khan. So at that back in history, he had conquered a lot of China.
See, that makes more sense too, because it's like if somebody has that much power and they're supposed to be a historical figure, then you would have known about them in history.
Right.
I thought Hammer was really evil in this one. Okay, so Hammer in the movies. Which movie is he in?
Iron Man 2.
In Iron Man 2 is hilarious. I love his character. I think he's amazing. And there's not anything similar in this cartoon. I don't think.
No.
He's like a genuine psychopath. Like he made people into zombies for fun, because he was like, of course people want to buy zombie serum. They make movies about it. Who wouldn't want to have a zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, that was just strange.
And then he like does this weird laugh, and then he kills all of his bodyguards at one point because he decides they're blackmailing him, and I don't know. Yeah. I didn't like him very much as a villain. I like Hammer in the movies a lot better. I mean, I kind of liked the girl that worked with him, but then she never
does anything.
Yeah, because if she had like been the one blackmailing him, that would have been really cool, but it wasn't. It was Mr. Fix, which I felt was like a little bit predictable. I was kind of like, oh, I bet Mr. Fix is doing it. And then he did. Yeah. So there you go. I don't know. So that all felt a little anticlimactic. Okay, so the Mandarin storyline keeps getting alluded to the whole time. Well, it's just like, you know, oh, he's got the 6th ring. Oh, the 7th ring. Oh, the 8th ring. And nobody else seems to know about it. There's not like, Fury isn't like involved with the Mandarin. Hawkeye, Hulk, anybody. So it's just Iron Man, who isn't really doing much about it. And then Howard Stark is helping him do it. And then he gets all 10 rings. And then Iron Man shows up with the 10th ring.
Well, he gets the 9th ring because Dr. Doom gets involved.
Right, because that ring was hidden in Dr. Doom's area. And then Dr. Doom wanted his family back. Yeah. That's what he was going to use them for?
So he was going to make a deal with some demon from another dimension to bring his family back.
So I guess Iron Man does defeat Dr. Doom in the end because he gets eaten by a space worm. Yeah. I didn't understand that Gene Khan was the only one who could actually use the rings. I didn't feel like that had been made clear in the first season. So Iron Man has all the rings, and then he keeps refusing to give them to Gene. And I'm like, Howard's right there. Why don't you use the rings? Why don't you give them to Howard? And it just made me really upset the whole time that he didn't have any concept of like using the rings a different way other than giving them to Gene, until he's like, oh, we have no hope here, Gene. You can have the rings back. And then like the next episode, then they're like, oh, he has the alien seed in him, and that's why he can use the Maklulan rings, because he's part Maklulan, even though he looks he really took after the human side because he
Mhm.
looks really human. He doesn't have 3 eyes or anything. Well, they have 3 eyes on each side, so like 6 eyes, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I was just like, I was really frustrated that whole episode, and then later I'm like, oh, well, now it kind of makes sense. So I kind of wish that had been a little bit more clear.
Maybe they said it before and we just weren't paying that close attention.
Maybe we just missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Iron Man was this close to just keeping all the rings. And then, but I mean, would they even be that safe with him? I mean,
No.
He's not terribly good at keeping his stuff safe. So they end up back with Jean anyway.
So what he should have done was either tried to find some way to destroy them or find some other way to scatter them and hide them again. But that doesn't really...
Instead, he put them in his pocket.
But that didn't really seem to be his goal, because the whole reason Jean got with them in the first place is because Tony helped him find them all and unlock them. So that probably wouldn't have even crossed his mind. But that would have been the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man created the Mandarin because he went around finding all the rings, and they're like, well, why are we finding these rings? Because it's for my father. But that didn't make very much sense to me. What I think your dad would have thought about it a little bit and then been like, maybe these are better left where they are.
Yeah.
Because Tony found them and activated most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that stopped working out, then Tony was taking Howard around to find the rings.
Jean was taking Howard around.
Jean was taking Howard around to find the rings. And then when they go to find the last ring, the one that's going to cause all the problems, Tony shows up, and Jean probably would have wandered around lost in that maze the whole time and then died. And that would have been fine.
Yeah.
And it would have all been over. But instead, Tony shows up, they fight, and he's the reason they discover where the ring even is. Of course, because Tony creates his own villains. And then I thought that part was really sad, because then the guy's like, I am the guardian of the last ring. I'm the one that saved the whole universe from this other guy, my dad, having all the rings. And and you get the whole history of the rings or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, you are not worthy. And then Jean's like, it's my birthright, which is just his argument for everything. and then he just like kills the alien dude.
Probably shouldn't be checking whether or not somebody's worthy at ring 10. Maybe you want to step in at ring 1. It's probably a better plan, because now
maybe
they got 9.
3.
Now they got 9 rings, and if you say no, you're not worthy, they just kill you because they have 9 rings. Nothing you can really do about it.
And he didn't really reserve anything for himself to protect the ring with. He barely even had armor on. So he just ends up dead. And out of everybody in that episode, I liked him the best, the alien guy, and then he was dead, so I was really sad about that. And you just like really, really hate Jean at that point. Just my destiny and my calling and my birthright and blah, 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 blah. Kill the alien scum.
And then he talks about saying how he's going to use the rings to bring order to this chaotic world, which we don't really hear much about in season 1. And it's a very abstract goal, like how are you going to bring order? What are you going to do besides say that I'm the supreme ruler of the world? I mean, I don't get it. Are you going to murder everyone who doesn't fall into your idea of the world of order? Do you decide who is chaos? Like, they don't really delve into his game plan at all. It's just kind of like, this is my birthright. I'm going to bring order to this chaotic world because, this is my birthright was way too abstract and didn't really make sense. But...
And they keep flashing back to his mom who told him, this is your birthright and stuff. But she never really set him up for what that would mean either.
No.
So he gets all the rings and he goes up in the sky and goes, guess what, guys? I got all 10 rings. I'm boss now. And I'm going to protect us and keep us safe and create order. And if anybody questions my leadership, then I'll kill them. And like, that's the whole thing. And you're like, okay, but what even is your leadership? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But they dive in to like attack him right away. So then he goes, I knew it. and I shall bring you to your knees. And they go right into a battle scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately, a big giant ship of the big scary alien dude who likes to destroy worlds shows up. And they go into the final battle. And they're going to battle him. And they pause for a while to do like a gladiator fight scene.
Well, I mean, at that point, they really set themselves up for failure. They kind of painted themselves into a corner because if the 10 Maklulan rings can shape reality, then he can just win immediately. So the only explanation for why this invasion takes any time is because he just wants to torture them. And so
he's like, I'm going to play around with this situation. And it's not terribly clear why he's going to kill the planet. I guess he's going to kill the whole planet to power his ship or something.
Well, no, he said that's just one of his kickbacks. I mean, I think they say that the reason why he's destroying Earth is because he considers them inferior.
And so as long as they were still fighting, I guess they're, not inferior. And so, it's like, oh, like, I'll let you try to battle.
He's bringing order to this chaotic universe.
Yeah. Howard creates a thing that somehow disrupts the power of the rings within like 20 minutes, and they takes it up to space, and they disable the rings and get him back. But of course, as soon as they disable the king, they all turn their backs. Nobody thinks like, grab the rings, grab the rings. No, they all go, okay, there's a bomb. Maybe we should get off. I don't know. They're talking about other things. And so Gene, of course, whose sole focus is the rings, he grabs the rings. And of course, then he's Mandarin again.
I did like how all the heroes that we've been introduced to came back and there was an actual plan to stop the Maklulans. Like, I really like that because for the most part, it's just kind of Tony and friends running around with their heads cut off trying to solve their own problems. And
them telling him, that's a bad idea. And him going, I have to do this for my father. Or I have to do this for some other dumb reason. Yeah, you have to be dumb for your dad. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. When he actually comes back, he goes, don't be dumb.
I feel like Iron Man is causing more problems than he solves. Is the first thing Howard tells Tony about Iron Man.
Yeah. And then, so then I guess the Mandarin's going to be good now. I don't know.
That was where they left it off. They basically said, so the Mandarin got the rings again, and they're basically saying, don't take us over like the Maklulans. And he says, okay.
It's like, Mother, I shall be good now, and I'm going to be protector of Earth. And he flies off, and you're like, oh, okay, whatever that means. And then Tony forgets his mask is off. And now everybody knows their secret identities.
Because losing your armor is not enough.
Like, I don't have a problem with people all finding out.
Yeah.
Now, he's an adult now or whatnot. I mean, he's given armor to all the 2 people who actually like him still. So, I mean, I don't think his family or friends are in danger. So it's like, okay, everybody knows. But they missed that really cool moment that they did in the movies where they're like, oh, Tony, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, actually, I am Iron Man. Like, that was such a cool moment in the movies. And they just kind of were like, oh, oops, I guess everybody knows now. And then Pepper's like, then they're like, oh, Pepper, I like you, I guess is what it ended on. Yeah. Pepper and Tony like each other or love each other or something.
Well, I wouldn't say love. I would say are romantically interested, kind of.
They're teenagers that gave each other a hug. So he did give her like a $3 million suit of armor, though. So I feel like any girl would like him after that. Yeah, I don't know. That was the end.
So I think what we're trying to say is season 1 was great. Season 2 has its moments, but it amplifies the flaws in season 1. Because if you watch just season 1, you'll probably enjoy the show. If you watch all of season 2, if you're like Abby, you won't like the show anymore.
And if you're Jeremy and you watch it again with me, I'll ruin it for you.
But I have done my best to isolate the best episodes in season 2 while throwing out a lot of the bad ones in my recommendations for this video. So I don't want to try it out now because we just watched the show. Maybe in a year or two we can try it again with my recommendations, or you can let us know if the episodes that I've suggested make sense.
Mm.
And if you like them, because the Batman video, Abby liked my suggestions.
I did. I really liked Batman watching just the suggestions. So.
Whereas if she watched all of it, she would probably hate it like she does with this show.
Like starting out with Iron Man, I liked it. I was like, oh, cute. Yeah. By the end of season 2, I'm like, oh, it's over. Thank God.
Yeah.
So. Sorry if you like the show and it's your favorite.
That's the perspective I had before I showed it to Abby, so.
Sorry if I just ruined it for you.
Well, there's a spoiler warning, so.
Well, if it's your favorite show and then you hear my perspective and go, oh, I guess just stick to your own opinions. I don't know.
Put it in the comments.
Am
Are
I
there any other
missing
shows we can
something?
ruin for you?
It was terrible.
It wasn't terrible. Okay, you might have made me like a lot of the episodes in season 2 a lot less. I still stand by the episodes in season 1. They're still great. Season 2, you know, I can see what you're talking about.
If you really like the action scenes, there's a lot of action scenes. I'm just not the biggest fan of them. And when it it's a very loose plot to get to another action scene, I just don't enjoy that.
Mm.
Maybe that's the problem.
Plot wasn't loose. It was just the problems you mentioned in the last video.
Yeah.
It was the yelling, which
Yeah.
made you tune it out, and so you missed details, and so you didn't understand what was going on.
And then I'm like, wait, why are they doing that? And then I'm like, what? And then, yeah. I think the biggest problem for me is that I didn't like the characters.
Yes.
Because I like the episodes with where the focus is on other characters. Like in season 1 when Happy gets it, I thought that was super great. Or if you bring the Black Panther in, and then of course Iron Man just comes across like the villain because he immediately just starts shooting at Black Panther. Who does that? Why do you just start shooting at things that you don't understand? That's so dangerous. At least ascertain whether or not this is a good person or a bad person before you just start attacking. But I like Black Panther, I liked Hulk, I liked Hawkeye, and
Unfortunately,
Black Widow.
because they're so tied into Titanium Man, I had to cut their episodes out.
Oh.
But you do get to see Hawkeye and Black Widow in the Extremis episode, but they're already good guys.
Yeah. Well, they're not terribly bad when they're bad guys. They're just they're kind of like Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was cute. They're all flirty with each other, or he's flirty with her.
Yep.
She looks terrible. They drew her off. He looks okay, how they drew him. Did we cover all the things? I don't know. Iron Man trying to fight Magneto is pretty funny.
Hilarious.
And then they meet
Jean Grey.
Jean Grey, and that was pretty cool. And they're I like how Pepper's yeah, I'm a little scared of mutants. Yeah, I liked all of that a lot.
Yeah, I really liked when they brought in Magneto that they had both sides of the arguments. It was basically like a little X-Men episode within Iron Man. So you have one side where it's kind of like Pepper is in favor of the Mutant Registration Act, and Tony and Rhodey are completely against the Mutant Registration Act, and all their reasoning sort of makes sense. So Tony and Rhodey can protect themselves because they have superpowers. They're like, why would you mistreat anybody who has superpowers? We don't want anybody revealing our secret identities, so let's not reveal their secret identities. And Pepper's more like, if somebody can read my mind and throw me across the room, I feel like I should know. Because,
Yeah.
you know?
And she's not in favor of, like, the whole act or how it's going on. She's just like, that whole argument makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, just on a surface level, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes a lot of sense and is very honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, Magneto comes off real bad in that show.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm going to force you to join me.
Or I'll murder your family.
Yeah, it's so dark. And she's just this like little teenage girl, and he's threatening her family. It's not nice.
So I do like Magneto a lot better in X-Men shows, which I'll show to Abby later. But I feel like in the context of the show, it makes sense to present Magneto this way because you don't really get a ton of character development for him. So the perspective of Iron Man is that it's just an evil man in a weird metal helmet.
And then he does create some tech that helps him fight him, because it's like also Iron Man against Magneto is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then him like going, oh, I can control waves or I don't know, whatever, to like disarm him. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They don't play that up as much as they could, of like, he's a genius inventor. He can invent things to solve problems.
Yeah.
Instead, it's always like, I've got my suit. I'm just gonna run in there and see what happens. Oh no, I'm running out of power. Oh no, this like every single time. So it's kind of cool that he like was like, hey, you know, and he didn't like blindly rush into a situation. There was really no other option, and then go, oh, I can just be thrown across the room because he controls metal, and
which he should have learned the first time he fought him, where he also did that. So.
Yeah, it's true. Then he's like, I have to do something. And you're like, okay, well, what if this something's just going to get you killed?
Right.
Like, it's not helpful. But yeah, that was really cool. They did a lot of crossover episodes that were fun in season 2.
And then the other one was where his grandson from the future comes back to kill him because Tony, of course, has created another virus that has destroyed the world. Seems like par for the course for him.
I'm here to kill you, grandfather, because you've destroyed the world. The only thing that didn't make sense to me about that is when the grandson isn't born. At the end, he's like, oh, well, now I cease to exist because I changed the past.
Well, that version of Andros no longer exists because there was no reason for him to come back to the past.
Oh, that makes sense. The timeline world thingies. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, once you get into time travel, you're already getting pretty dicey when it comes down to logic. So you kind of just have to say, that's what the episode told me. I assume it makes sense, even if it doesn't.
That one was really fun, though. I really liked that one. I really liked Andros. He teams up with Hammer, of course, which is hilarious.
Which is... One thing about Andros is... I like the fact that they made him just as stupid as Tony. Like, he has the worst ideas ever.
Never found a villain he wasn't best friends with. And he's like, I'm going to bring down S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'm going to bring down Tony so that the world is safe. And then in the process of fighting Tony, he's like, oh, this is where Tony creates the beginning of the virus that kills the world.
He created it to defeat me.
So really, he's the reason the world all explodes.
Very Tony-esque.
Yeah.
What more could you ask for?
It's a lot of build-up for a very quick, easy fix of like, oh, don't do that. That's what ends the world. Oh, and then they don't do that, and then it's fixed.
I also like the fact that he says, I can't tell you too much because it could end the world. And the whole reason the world ends is because he tells people too much stuff.
Yeah, he keeps telling Hammer, like, oh, look, here's a newspaper article where you're president for 3 terms, which means he's definitely, like...
Very popular.
Well, you can't be president past 2 terms, so that means he's basically a dictator already, if you go 3 terms, right?
It was the people's choice. They loved him so much that they rewrote the rules.
And his, like, what's his henchman's name? Do you remember her name?
Do they ever tell you her name?
Yeah, he's always yelling her name, but I don't remember.
I don't remember her name either.
And she's like, no, that can't be right. And then he's like, no, Iron Man must succeed in destroying the world so I can be president. And then he doesn't. Aha!
Yes, this episode was comedy gold.
It was funny. I liked that one a lot. That one was enjoyable. That would have been a fun finale. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were really great. I guess not great enough for me to gush about, but
I didn't expect you to gush about Iron Man Armored Adventures. You've seen too much. You can never go back. You are benefiting from her suffering.
Is that all?
I think that's it.
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!